Minnesota Governor Tim Walz faced criticism for allowing this crime to happen under his leadership when it was exposed in 2023. However, he thanked the prosecutors, the FBI, and the USDA for presenting a case with strong evidence.
This is something that's obviously very close with me because I am furious about this. I have been from the beginning. These are criminals that preyed on a system that was meant to feed children. It was organized. They continued to lie about that.
The scheme allegedly invented fake meals for thousands of kids every day at various locations in Minneapolis, all funded by taxpayer money through the state's education department. This fraud took place under the federal child nutrition program run by the USDA, which provides free meals to kids in need. Across most states, the USDA directly funds state governments to administer this program, but in Minnesota, the State Department of Education handles it.
Now, I had to bring you this story because Tampon Tim is in the news again, but not for his, comedian takes or should I say his stand-up comedy show. No, Tim Walz is in the news again because under his nose in his state of Minnesota, where he is the governor, he allowed one of the biggest, matter of fact, the biggest scam across the country to happen on his watch. $250 million in COVID relief funds were stolen, laundered, misused under Tim Walz's nose. And this is all while he was running for VP with Kamala Harris. As a matter of fact, in this video, I'm going to show you the evidence of what happened, but even most importantly, of why I did this. One of the co-defendants in this case, he has ties, direct ties with a member of Congress. Not only does he have direct ties with a member of Congress, but in this video, I'm going to show you footage of the actual congressional member doing work for the same organization that just got found guilty and convicted of robbing the United States taxpayer of $250 million, robbing those children in Minnesota of their meals and of their food, $250 million worth, all under Tampon Tim's watch. So let's get into it. So right here, as you can see, we got this op-ed. Tim Walz school lunch fiasco got scammed for $250 million right under his nose. In case you missed it, Education and the Workforce Committee Chairwoman Virginia Fox, Republican from North Carolina, penned an op-ed for Fox News ripping Governor Walz for overseeing the greatest grift in U.S. history, a $250 million scheme that took funds from hungry children. And following the release of a report indicating the Walz administration's actions and inactions allowed the fraud to continue. Walz said, "We certainly take responsibility for that." Earlier this month, Chairwoman Fox subpoenaed Governor Walz's Minnesota Department of Education, the Biden-Harris administration's U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, and the USDA's Office of Inspector General to uncover how the governor and the USDA allowed the largest pandemic fraud in the nation to occur. So what I'm going to get off into next is the clip of the actual two people who were the ringleaders of this fraud. There were 70 people who got indicted and who were prosecuted, but there were two ringleaders. And remember, one of them with direct connections, direct ties to a member of Congress. And when you find out and see who it is, you're gonna be shocked, but you're not gonna be shocked at the same time. And even more stuff is gonna make sense. So let's get into this next clip. Check this out.
Right now, the now convicted ringleader of what prosecutors called the country's largest pandemic fraud case and her co-defendant spending their first night in jail. Their mugshots just into our newsroom in the last 2 hours. Today, a jury found the pair guilty on all counts against them after about just 5 hours of deliberation. Good evening, I'm Rena Sargentopoulos. Thank you for joining us. Aimee Bock and Salim Syed will stay in the Sherburne County Jail until they're sentenced. We have team coverage on the story tonight, and we start with Lou Raguse, who has been following this trial over the last 5 weeks. He has reaction to the quick and decisive end.
The fact that they returned a verdict so quickly after such a long trial, I think speaks volumes.
A 5-week trial decided in 5 hours as the jury rejected the testimony of former Feeding Our Future executive director Aimee Bock and former Safari restaurant owner Salim Syed and convicted them on all charges. Assistant U.S. Attorney Joe Thompson aggressively cross-examined Bock over the course of 2 days, showing the jury she submitted every fraudulent claim, certifying that every meal count was accurate, and making sure that every fraudster got paid.
She cut every single check, all $240 million worth of checks to every defendant in this case.
Bock broke down crying as she was led away to jail. Her attorney stunned.
I'm disappointed. I didn't anticipate it. It came too quickly.
Salim Saeed floundered under Thompson's cross, at first lying to the jury that he spent millions of dollars on food to feed children, then admitting he had no proof of that. Combined with all the evidence showing how Bock and Saeed spent the money they stole, the jury had no problem finding guilt beyond a reasonable doubt.
I would imagine that the quick verdict will probably not go unnoticed by the remaining defendants.
If you enjoyed this video, do me a solid, hit that like button, because I'll never ask you for a cash app and I will never ask you for a super chat. But you hitting that like button, it really helps the channel. It helps spread the video around for other people to see it. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. On the Real Politics Podcast, that's what we do. We talk real politics. So once you hit that subscription button, you want to hit the notification bell and select all. That way you'll be notified when I upload new videos. So imagine this. We got the Democrat Party running around and going crazy, talking about Elon Musk cutting waste, fraud, and abuse. Wow. Tim Walz, his state of Minnesota, allowed $250 million to just walk out of the door. There was no checks and balances on an amount that size, especially going through the Department of Education in your state, Governor. But yet he was going to be the #2 person in the top spot, the top job in the world as VP. So we got the cosplaying fake black woman. Then we got the fake macho tough guy, Tim Walz, one who can't put a sentence together, and the other one who let $250 million walk out on his watch. But yet they were going to be the ones driving the bus with us as passengers right off the cliff. And as we see in all of the things that President Trump and Elon Musk are finding out right now, imagine if those two would have been in office. Oh my God. I believe already right now we would have had 50 million illegals here. They would have already maybe signed executive orders shutting down every police precinct. And it will be just like the movie Mad Max. I think it will be just like that. Well, let's learn a little bit more about Aimee and about Saeed and who they're connected to in Congress. Let's get into this next clip right here where Libs of TikTok decided to share with us. We got Aimee Bock, founder of Feeding Our Future, is the name of the organization, was accused of conspiring to steal $250 million in taxpayer dollars, has just been found guilty on 7 counts, including wire fraud, federal programs, bribery, and money laundering. Now, the reason why they have the bribery, they attempted to bribe 2 different witnesses. Well, 1 witness and 1 member of the jury. They offered a member of the jury $120,000 in cash. They immediately went to their attorney. And then the other one of the defendants saw one of the government witnesses and approached him in the bathroom and tried to talk to him. They immediately ran and told their lawyer, and now they're facing additional charges for that. ABC spoke a little bit more about the Tim Walz debacle. Critics blast new VP nominee Tim Walz for massive COVID-19 fraud under his watch. The governor said there have been leadership changes since the fraud occurred. But even more important than that, check out this clip that talks about their guilty charges.
The very quick verdicts against Aimee Bock and Salim Saeed come after a nearly 6-week trial. The jury saw hundreds of pages of documents, false meal claims, fake invoices, million-dollar checks, testimony from some of the 37 people who've already pled guilty. For prosecutors, the evidence was overwhelming. They say that Aimee Bock knew. She submitted every false claim, wrote every check of the nearly $250 million in fraud. Bock's attorney sees it differently.
Aimee's testimony was compelling. She answered all the questions that could have been answered.
He said he's shocked that she's now being detained until sentencing since she has no passport and no money, living with her parents. He was asked if she may express remorse at sentencing.
I'm sorry, but $250 million, if you're gonna take it and you're gonna, steal it or whatever, damn, at least have you some resources to be able to eat and provide for yourself.
Is any remorse is because of her children. I will go to my grave knowing, because I've reviewed the evidence, this is an innocent woman.
Salim Saeed is also now in custody, convicted of far more counts than Bock and described as one of the largest perpetrators of fraud. Nearly 30 defendants still await trial, but these quick verdicts just might bring more plea deals, prosecutors say.
Now, Mr. Saeed, and now with this situation, they say that Aimee pocketed $2 million. Mr. Saeed pocketed $5 million. So that means that $245 million was dispersed and sent out. Where do you think the rest of that money went? Do you really believe $250 million just poof disappears? Nobody knows where it went. There's no other hands in the pot. You don't think these people got a juiced up deal where it says, hey, listen, eat this charge, go in there, we'll get you out in the next 36 months? And they can't find, they was only able to recover $60 million out of the $250 million. there's more hands dirty in this. And I know for a fact that in other situations, there have been times where people make an agreement where somebody's going to eat the charge. So money is supposed to be put to the side for them. And maybe their family get taken care of. They're buying that person's silence. Not saying that that's the case in this situation, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was. But Mr. Saeed, he has a political friend, somebody that's tied in directly to him. I want to introduce you to that person. And when you see this, please put in the comments whether you knew it was going to be this person or whether you're shocked that is this member of Congress who's affiliated with the thief of $250 million in the biggest pandemic scam in the country. And there have been some whoppers, but none have topped 250 million. Let's check out this congressional member. I'm actually going to let you watch her in action in a video. She's talking about what it is she's doing with and for this organization. Check this clip out.
fursad u qaatay in ay u volunteer gareeyaan oo ay taakuleeyaan familiyaalka.
Delivering food. And wait, you'll see it here in a minute. Who is that gentleman right there in that blue jacket? And wait.
And alhamdulillah.
The Safari restaurant. That is the restaurant that Mr. Saeed owns. And he is the co-conspirator in the Feed Our Children pandemic fraud scheme that stole $250 million. His close friend and associate is Ilhan Omar, the congressional woman from Minnesota. Also the member of the Somali community. Ilhan Omar worked firsthand with this organization, providing them resources, even volunteering her time, working with them. You think she might have got a little bit of that? Hey, I don't know. This is all alleged. But don't it seem funny that one of the most anti-American members of Congress is also tied in to the individual who's responsible for one of the biggest pandemic scams in our country? Doesn't surprise me at all. But I knew something was to it, which what made me dig some when I saw that he was of the Somali community and in Minnesota. I went to work. That's where I hit Google and jumped on the search engine like, yo, let me do some digging. Sure enough, didn't know what I would find, but I found the ties between these two. Matter of fact, you saw Mr. Saeed in the video. Let me take it back if you didn't know where you saw him at. That's him right here. That's the gentleman right there that is in the largest fraud case in the history of America with the pandemic, $250 million. So I just wanted to jump in and let you know what type of things are still going on. No Democrats are complaining about this waste, fraud, and abuse. None. Nobody's crying about this, but they're pissed off about Elon Musk going in there, cutting and saving waste, fraud, protecting us from waste, fraud, and abuse going out. But the actual people that's out here perpetrating it, crickets. Just like the people that's out there doing real vandalism, real terrorist acts on domestic soil, crickets from the Democrat Party. They'll say things like, well, no, we don't condone violence, but, and anyone with intelligence knows whenever somebody makes a statement and they use the but right afterwards, everything they're going to say after but is straight BS and is about to erase or override what they said initially. Well, I like the food, but didn't have enough salt. Okay, so you didn't really like it then, yes, we don't believe in violence, but people should be able to voice their BS. But I just wanted to jump in and share this with y'all. The ties with congressional member Ilhan Omar to the biggest scandal and scam, pandemic scam in the country of $250 million. We got those children who didn't get the food that they was expecting. You got the American taxpayer whose money isn't going to provide resources for the country like we expect. Round and round we go, and overseeing it all, the head of it all, as far as they're supposed to be overseeing it to protect their people from these things not happening, was Tim Walz, the governor of the state. Man, we made a good choice on November the 5th, 2024, y'all. We did the right thing. Thumbs up and kudos to you. But if you watched the video this far, thank you so much for hanging in there with me. And as always, if you haven't liked the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Other than that, I'm Brian Maxwell, thanking you sincerely and saying I look forward to seeing you at the top. Over and out, y'all.